Well, Halito, I'm Robert Whitfield, and I'm coming out from the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma to talk about foster care.
Foster care. So what all does that entail? Like, if somebody wanted information about it and stuff, what would you have to tell them?
Sure. Well, everyone sort of has an image in their mind as what foster care is. You see this in movies, you see it in TV, and people sort of have a thought as to what it looks like. And there's a lot of misconceptions in that.
Mhm.
And so we want to come out and let people know that, when you're a foster parent, strike through that word foster, you're really just a parent.
Mm-hmm.
There are children right now in the community that need you. And the process to become a foster parent isn't as difficult as you would think because we have, talented staff that will guide you through that process. Now, for us, as I mentioned with the Choctaw Nation, to be a foster parent for our organization, at least one of the adults in your home must have Native American ancestry and be recognized as a member of a federally recognized tribe.
Mhm.
However, if you're not a member of a tribe, we also work very closely with the state of Oklahoma. And I know some great people there at DHS, and you can go check them out at okfosters.org. But if you are a member of a tribe, especially if you're Choctaw, you can look us up at choctawnation.com/foster care.
So, somebody that was interested in that, where can they find you, or where is the closest place they could go in this area?
Well, for most people, I would say to go to that choctawnation.com/foster care. If you already have an account with it's the Chuffa portal, which is like one place for Choctaw because the Chuffa's one, you can apply online there. If you don't have access to a computer, you can call us at headquarters at 800-522-6170. If you're in the Broken Bow and Idabel area, which I know most of your listeners are, except for the ones that are online there, but if you're in Broken Bow and Idabel area, I'm actually officed over in the Investment Center in Broken Bow, so not too far from here. The Investment Center is next to the Wellness Center. A lot of people there go to work out. Also next to the Boys and Girls Club as well.
So, if somebody was interested, what would they need to have in order to start the process?
Well, sure thing. Well, like a lot of things, everything starts with a little bit of paperwork.
Mhm.
Now, you can fill out the paperwork online at the Chuffa portal, or you can come visit me and I'll give you a paper application, or you can call the 800 number I mentioned and we'll mail you one. But you fill out an application. The application, we gather some of your background information. From there, we call references, we check your background. Once that stuff is complete, we come out and make a home visit. And once we've established that your physical home is safe, and keep in mind, I said safe there. You don't have to have the biggest home or the fanciest home. And if you're like me, me and my wife, we're blessed to have 5 children. So we have a full quiver, as you'd say. And so if you come to my house, it's lived in. You'll find evidence of life everywhere. You might find a dish in the sink or pants on the couch or something. Most people live that way. And that's fine because it's safe. So we'll make sure your home is safe. Once that's done, we do a home study. The home study is where we really get to meet you. So during the home study process, we'll ask about your background, how you grew up, what are your thoughts on discipline, and also we'll go over your preferences. Now, what I mean by that is that not everybody has the tools, I'll say, or the skills to handle all children at all ages. Some people will have a preference for that. And so we figure out, what are your abilities and your skills. Once we figured that out and we've got you certified, then what we do is, since it's a child-centric approach, we take a look at the child and we say the child has, these needs. And then we say you can fulfill those needs. Mm-hmm. And so then we match you up to the child. We're not looking for like the perfect child for your home. We're looking for the perfect home for a child.
Yeah. Your microphone. I think they're saying they can barely hear you.
Is it on there now, sir? I didn't hear
it
you.
should be
all
on
right.
there now.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine. So it's not as difficult as people would like to think. Because for me, I would think, like I said, I've got to have the biggest home. And of course, there's got to be enough room to cater to another child, a child
certainly
coming into the home and stuff.
You need to have a sufficient amount of space.
Yeah.
But it's not like you need to have like a mansion to live in. You just an everyday regular home, as long as it's a safe home. And that's what we're looking for is that it's safe for a child. It's child appropriate, right? And, and the need is great. Well, I grew up over here in Broken Bow area, come over to Idabel. It's like my second home. If a child comes into custody here, we may not have a place for them. And so that's why we need homes. It's our opinion that a child that comes into custody, like say an Idabel or Broken Bow, they deserve to get to stay at home.
Yeah.
And we need people that'll step up and help with that.
So, trying to think how to ask this. How many, do you have people who, I know there's couples out there who aren't able to have children
Sure.
and stuff. Do you have like kind of ones that they kind of take, or I guess have more than one foster kid? And
That's
just
true.
kind of-
Now we do have a policy maximum.
Mhm.
So you can't just have unlimited number
Yeah.
of children. You can only manage so many children at a time. About 5 is usually the limit of most people, I would say. But the thing about that is that we do try to keep siblings together whenever possible.
Mhm.
But like I say, for the sake of safety, there's usually a limit there, unless you have some extraordinary circumstance. I mean, I imagine maybe if you had like a grandmother or an aunt or uncle that had a sibling set, they may look at saying, well, hey, they need to all stay together in one home. But for the average home, about 5 people, I would say 5 children total.
Okay.
But keep in mind, that's not to say we're going to say give you 5.
Yeah.
You may have a preference. And when we do the home study, we may determine in the home study in your preference that you say, well, I can only handle 2. Well, then that's 2.
Yeah.
We're not going to say, well, we think you can take 3. Take 3. And the thing about that, too, is that a foster home always has the right to decline. We can't force you to take a child if you're a foster home. We could say this child's in custody. We think you'd be the perfect home for them. And you may say, I can't at this time. And that's okay.
Mhm.
But that also brings up the point that there are different types of fostering.
Yeah.
So you have some people that are what are called traditional homes.
Mm.
Traditional homes keep a child for the life of that case. And so a child comes into custody that they may be working with that family for about a year or sometimes a little bit longer. And if we've done our job right and we've done a really good home study, we've made a good fit, you may keep that child for the whole year. But a lot of people can't do that. And so that's why we need what are called respite and emergency homes. Now, an emergency home is like it sounds, an emergent situation. So if let's say a child comes into custody late Friday night, we want to place them with grandma, but grandma moved here from California. She come all the way back home. Well, we have to have a background check from California.
Mhm.
And other states aren't always the fastest at getting us back stuff. And so we may have to use that emergency home for 2 or 3 days while we're checking out grandma. But then we also have what are called respite homes. And this is what I recommend a lot of people do that want to be fostering. Try it out as a respite home. Respite means that you're taking a break from something. And so if you have a home that, like a traditional home, they've got to go out of town for a few days, surgery or something's come up, we'll call that respite home and we'll say, hey, Micah, could you take that child and could you foster them from these days, Monday through Thursday, 3 weeks from now? And you say, well, of course, Robert, or no, that doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people, we recommend that for respite to come in to try it, to see. And if it works out, they can always become a traditional home or they can start out as a traditional home.
So it's not so cut and dry as, if you're interested, it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to, like you said, have the kid for a long period of time. You could, like I said, try that out, just like, hey, if the, home's safe and, it's the right fit, then, the emergency situation where it's like, you can try that first where, it's a couple days or maybe just one day, one night, or just something we can, and that gives you enough. It gives you time to kind of get your feet wet, I guess.
Yeah.
Without diving full in. And I guess what a lot of people would be nervous about is Oren Jackson's a young man, not really sure. And, but he wants to help, but then he's not sure about the long term. Like he doesn't know 6 months from now if he's still going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if a parent wants to opt out? What if they're like, yo, this is too much? Like, let's say 3 months in of fostering a child, they're like, yo, this is too much. I can't handle this.
Well, it's okay. I mean, some people ask for a child to be removed.
Yeah.
But like I say, we have what we call a low removal rate.
Nice.
We try to do a very good job of matching people up. If you've told me, you're like, well, Robert, I think I can only foster, children between the age of 10 and 14. Then that tells me that if I ask you to foster, say, a newborn, I'm probably going to be setting you up for failure.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're going to focus on that home study and say, what are your skills? What do you bring? that can meet the needs of a child. And so we're looking to be, like say, it's child centric, where we're saying that the child's needs are going to be met by this person. But sometimes it happens, like you said, where something happens, something changes, and we have to change things. It's not as often though. We try to make the first move the last move whenever possible.
Yeah. So is your job, you just go into these houses and make sure the parents are a good fit for these childs?
Well, in foster care, what happens is that you have a worker that follows that home. Now, I spend most of my time doing things like this. So I go out and do recruitment events.
Nice.
I used to do like carry a caseload where I would have homes. And what I would do as a foster care worker is I would meet with that home, once a quarter. I would call them on the phone every month. We were always checking in, and I might call them and say, well, hey, Micah, how are things going with you and little Billy this month? And you tell me, and you say, well, I'm having some issues with this, or I need some help with that. And I would say, well, hey, we can help you with that. And I will connect you up with supports and things to help you out. And that's really where it comes down to, is just trying to find supports for the family, because that also supports the child.
So somebody asked, do the foster parents get paid?
Well, they get a reimbursement rate.
Okay.
So we don't like to think of it as, like, say, a payment where, you get paid to do a job, right? But what happens is that based on the age of the child, there is what's called a reimbursement schedule. And so at the month following that month, you get a reimbursement payment for that. So that means if you have fostered 7 days in January, then that means when February comes, you'll receive a reimbursement for those days.
Okay. So I think a lot of people want to help. I think that's, not everybody probably comes into the office or calls in and asking for information. But I think this is a lot of good information. Kind of clears things up. Like you said, you can try, like I said, do the emergency where it's like, if you think you're a good fit but you're not too sure about long-term yet, then, that's probably
emergency respite is the best thing. And so what we try to tell people is that, we encourage people, you'll see this on our signs, foster your tribe.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that with Choctaw Nation, because we're a native organization, right? We're a tribe. The thing is that we want to maintain our culture.
Yeah.
That's important for us. And so what happens is that, if we don't have a home, say in Idabel or Broken Bow, and we have to ask the state to help us, which the state are great partners. They have safe homes, and, a child can go into those homes, and that's fine. But the child may be in Oklahoma City or Tulsa or the Panhandle. And more often than not, that's going to be in a situation where they're not in a home that's what's called like an equal compliant home or Indian Child Welfare Act home, so that no one in the home is Native American and probably not Choctaw if they're that far away. And so we want to make sure that we're keeping children, connected to their culture. Like, for example, no one cooks like your mama, right? And so if you go somewhere like, let's say that, you've been to a house that makes macaroni and cheese. How do you, when you make it from the box, do you put milk in it or will you put water in it?
Milk.
Nice.
So, and you put milk or water in yours?
Oh, milk for sure.
Okay. But see, like, there's a lot of homes that don't.
Yeah.
Right? You could taste the difference between milk, macaroni and cheese, and water mac and cheese. There's a big difference in the richness of that. And so, it's kind of like that with culture in a way. Like, there's a difference. If it's your culture, like, if the food's similar or the same, if the language is there, if the customs are there. And so, and you have a lot of homes for the Choctaw Nation that some are very traditional, some aren't traditional. But even between that spectrum of traditional and non-traditional, there's still a common thread. So even if you have a child in a home that's not as traditional compared to one that is, there's things that they can look at and they can find that's familiar to them. And so we're also looking for that, is to maintain our culture, to keep that alive.
Okay. So they can find you at the investment center, and that's different from the community center.
Right around the corner from it. Now it's the old community center around the corner. They can find me if they want to come visit with me there. I'll be there today. Or like I say, they can go online, choctawnation.com/foster care, or they can give us a call at 1-800-522-6170. And, and we even have a Facebook profile.
Nice.
Go to Facebook, look us up there, and you can find us there as well. And so, and like I say, we'd like to let everybody know that, everyone wants to make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy to make a world of difference, like worldwide, right?
Yeah.
But when you foster a child, you are going to make a world of difference to that child. Because, imagine if this was someone that you loved.
Yeah.
So this is like your niece or your nephew, because y'all are both young gentlemen. I don't know if y'all have children. If you do, that's great. That's a blessing. If you don't, that's right. Maybe you have nieces or nephew, little cousins. But let's say you've got that little relative and something happens at home that's not in their control. They didn't choose to experience something. They've been removed for abuse or neglect. You would want them to go to the best home possible,
Yeah.
right? That's what we're wanting. We're wanting people that are willing to open their heart and open their home to these children, and that are going to be able to work to make a bridge so that we can work with that family to send them back home
Nice.
to that family when it's safe.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you ever fostered a child?
Well, we have 5 children, and so for me, it would be difficult at this time.
It would.
Because we're just very blessed
Mhm.
to have the children that we have. We do have coworkers that have fostered, and I know many people from working, this job that foster in the community. Like today, right now, there are homes here in Broken Bow and Idabel that are foster homes. So they're like unsung heroes. You don't go around waving a flag saying, I foster, I foster.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is you don't hear about it on the news because information regarding a child is confidential.
Yeah.
And so it's not like, you hear about something that's happened that's all over the news. I said somebody's name. No, if we've done our job right, the child shouldn't experience much change. They'll go from a home that they've lived in to a foster home that'll match them up. No one's going to be talking about them in the community saying, hey, this is a foster child. Because we don't even like to say foster child. We say a child in foster care.
Yeah.
Because it's foster is an adjective. And when you say foster child, it's like you're labeling.
Yeah.
But they're a child first, child in foster care. And that child needs you. We need people to help us out, to open up their hearts and homes. Because a child from, like I said, from Broken Bow or Idabel deserves to stay at home.
So, for somebody who maybe doesn't have the space, like let's say they have an apartment or they have they're wherever they're staying at, and it's harder to find housing around here.
Sure, sometimes it can be a challenge. Yeah,
and so they really want to help, but they just don't have the let's say they have a kid on their own or 2 kids, and they only got a 2-bedroom apartment or something, and is it still 2 people per room or 2 per bedroom, or is that a rule? Is that even a rule? Like,
it's not
that's
quite
all
a
the
rule
time?
to say 2 per bedroom. There are rules that say that males and females can't share rooms,
Mhm.
and that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? But I guess it would depend on the size of the room. If that makes any sense.
Are there any programs that could like help them out in like finding like a a bigger apartment or anything like that, to where if they really wanted to be
Sure, not a problem.
in the program?
I get what you mean there. Well, just to give a plug for some of the other departments there that we have at Choctaw Nation, we have a great program called LEAP. LEAP housing is like first homeowner housing.
Mhm.
They have some great LEAP projects here in Broken Bow and Idabel, and they're building them all across our reservation. So, and we have people that live in LEAP homes that foster. I believe they also have like a rental assistance program as well, I think. So that's something that a person, if they were looking to change where they were living, that's something they can look into, I'm sure. But the thing is, what I think you're touching on is that not everybody can.
Yeah.
And if you can't, that's okay, because what you can do is you can pray for our children. And then in addition to that, you can let other people know. Like right now, so in your social circles, y'all probably know quite a few people, right?
Yeah.
Is there anybody right now you think that comes to mind that would be a good foster parent?
Of course.
You don't have to say their name. You don't put them on
Yeah.
the spot on the radio, right? But go home and tell them. Tell them. Coming from you,
Mhm.
that message carries more weight. If I tell you and I'm like, hey, you could be a good foster parent. You could be a good foster parent. Well, you don't know me. And you say, oh, okay, that sounds great, Robert. And that may be the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
But if it's someone that so let's say I have a friend that I say, you'll be a great foster parent. I tell them it carries weight. And they think about it and they say, yeah, Robert thinks I could do that. I think I may do it.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing about it is, we encourage everyone, reach out, let us know, give us a call, come by and visit me, because it could be the perfect thing for you. I tell my children this all the time, because my oldest son is 15. So he's thinking about what's going to happen after high school. And I tell my next son after that's 14, the world is set up in a way where a lot of times you can either make money or you can make a difference.
Yeah.
And you have to choose kind of what you're going to do. Very few people can do both, right? And it's hard to strike a balance in that. But like I say, when you foster, you're always making a difference.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of difference that people are going to parade through the street and say like, hey, you did this, but you're not going to win a medal for it. but when that child leaves and goes into the world, you've helped somebody. You've truly and sincerely helped a child. And not only that, if we're able to reunite that child, you've helped the family. And then think too, you're also helped the community because that child can maintain their connections with people at school, teachers, neighbors. It's holistically, you're helping a lot of people when you foster.
Because that's what it's been probably a while back, but that's when my kids were still little.
Yeah.
And we just have a 2-bedroom, so it's just
Sure.
my wife and 2 kids. And they had called me about a kid that we knew, and I was just like, I don't have the room. Like I don't have the.
That's okay. But you see, the effort of that is we always try to, first, before we use a traditional home,
Yeah.
we do always try to place with either family or someone that they know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And so it sounds like whoever it was us or it was the state, you don't need to say.
Yeah.
It sounds like they were doing their job.
Yeah.
They were reaching out to someone and saying, hey, little Billy, you may know little Billy or little Sally. Could you foster this child?
Yeah.
And if you can't, we understand that because, like you said, there's a season for everything.
Yeah.
Right. And it may not be your season to foster, but maybe a little bit later in life it is. But if it is your time to foster, don't let the opportunity pass. Seize onto it and say, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
Because wouldn't it be great if we had so many homes that we wouldn't have to send a child to another place in Oklahoma City
Yeah.
or Tulsa, right? That would just be perfect. That would be such a blessing. That'd be a wonderful thing.
It's something to look into because my kids are getting older now. I got one graduating next year, so it's definitely something I enjoy helping people. I enjoy and stuff like, especially with kids. I used to work at the Boys and Girls Club,
Yeah.
so that was one of my things is mentoring kids and just
A great organization.
Yeah.
Just don't give Mike a newborn.
yeah, no newborns, but I think I would probably start off with the emergency.
I was going to say, or respite. See, respite would be good for you.
respite.
Emergency, you can't plan, right?
Uh-huh.
No one plans to have an emergency, but respite placement is always planned.
Mm.
With respite placement, like I say, if I got to go out of town next month, I'll tell my worker, hey, I got to go out. What can we do? And they may say, hey, I know another home. Let me ask them. And then they may, call you up and say, hey, this weekend, 2 weeks from now, could you do it?
Yeah.
See, respite is planned like that, so it works out great. And we have so many supports. You have so many workers that are able to help you out and to give you good advice. And not only that, people that are like, hey, I don't know how to foster. What can I do? Did you know, or maybe you didn't know, but we put you through like a little training academy program.
Mm-hmm.
So we teach you all the things that you need to know.
Definitely something I'd like to look into. And if you would like to get a hold of Robert, what's the number, cell phone or
Yeah,
anything?
sure thing. Well, give us a call at headquarters and they'll either forward you to me or my coworker I have that also recruits. But the main number is 800-522-6170. You can check us out at choctawnation.com/foster care or on Facebook for our profile there. And if you're still wanting to foster, but you're not a member of a federally recognized tribe, reach out to our partners. The state also needs home. Go to okfosters.org, or you can call them at 800-376-9729.
Well, there you go, folks. If you're interested in that, you can get more information on that. And they can also go on if they are Choctaw and they have the
Chuffa, the
Chuffa,
one
yeah.
portal. Yeah.
You have that. And I think everybody who's used to your
These days everybody's got a
everybody's
phone.
got it.
Everybody
Yeah.
does that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The days of using paper and pen and mailing stuff in is going away soon.
And I think that's how you sign up pretty much for everything we're talking. Even
With-
the summer
yeah.
camps coming up.
With
Like
the Choctaw Nation, that's why they say a Chuffa one. They want the one place you
Yeah.
go to. If you're Choctaw, go to that website, check it out. And that's a good plug too. If you're Choctaw and don't know about it, go there and check it out. There are so many great programs that are on the Chuffa portal, like the summer nutrition. They have information on there. If your children do well in school, maybe you'd like to do that program where they reward your child for doing well. They have what's called like that clothing allowance that comes
Yeah.
up for school later. Emergency assistance. Truly, the Choctaw Nation has put together a great portal to help out its members. They can go there and check out all those great programs.
Well, we appreciate you coming over here and kind of clearing all that up for us because I've heard of people, I've heard stories where just they want you to do this, this and that. So it's kind of good to clarify that you don't have to jump in, you don't have to jump fully into the pool. You know, you can dip your toe in it, and
It's
kinda
not
see
as
if it works.
scary as people would think.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a serious thing. We
Yeah.
are doing a lot of paperwork, and we are checking you out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that long ago, I had a home that it was a couple that they were having some problems with the paperwork, and I made a trip to their home. And we sat down, I spoke with them, and I filled it out for them. I got it
Nice.
set for them. You know, you have people like me that are willing to do that, because if it's for a child, there's just about nowhere I won't go to help a child.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, drive or to call or to do what we have to do.
Yeah.
And I would hope, regardless of the many different opinions that people have in this world on lots of different things, I think it's pretty universal that everyone can agree that we want our children to be safe.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We appreciate you coming up here, Robert, and hopefully we can get the word out and get people, maybe people get interested and give you a call and stuff. So
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, Yako Key, thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
Okay,
It's been a
no
great
need, No
day.
problem. You're listening to 96.7 KBEL. We'll be right back.